Well, Nikos, thank you for joining. Welcome to the Symbiotic Podcast. I'm here with Nikos and to talk a little bit about hospitality and AI and the impact of AI on hospitality. So welcome, Nikos. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, background, and what are you doing? What are you doing today?
Thank you. Great to be here. I've been involved with hospitality for almost 8 years now. I got into it right after high school. I basically work in hotels. So right after I was done with school, I got myself a job working as an assistant cook at a small kitchen in Athens, basically a catering firm of sorts. And I sort of realized after having some fun in the kitchen that it's not really for me. And then I had a conversation with my boss, and he pointed out that maybe I'd have a good time working at hotels, being how I was more into talking to the cooks and the chefs instead of actually getting cooking done. So I had to work with my boss, and he had to work with my dad, and they set me up with this school, the Swiss Alpine Center, where I got to study for 3 years, and I learned the ins and outs of hospitality. It's really useful stuff, but at some point you realize in this industry there's things you can teach, and there's things that just come in naturally. And that's sort of what I realized by going to a school about hotel management is at some point you either have it or you don't. And it's a question I ask myself every day. Is this something I like doing? The answer is yes. Did the things I learned along the way help me become better? For sure. Is this a line of work for everybody? Maybe. So, long story short, I spent some time working in Greece, certain hotels. I tried the islands, I tried Athens, the mainland. Find myself in North America, spent a year in Florida, just got to understand the North American market, and the travelers and whatnot. And I'm currently working in Canada, having the time of my life, just meeting interesting people every day and forming connections. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Amazing. Well, I think that you have a very similar story, and a lot of people kind of do jump from one department, right, back of the house to front of the house, and sometimes inverse. Most of the time it's from back of the house to front of the house, and typically is because of the money, right? But you mentioned something very interesting, right, that this is not necessarily for everyone, right? You have to have a certain qualities that allow you to make you successful, especially when you're front-facing the guests. In your experience, what are some of those things that you enjoy the most about, leadership and, providing hospitality overall, right?
Well, for me, it really is mostly about human connection. From a young age, I just genuinely recall enjoying being around other people and getting to know them better and what they like, and just getting into intricate conversations. So I guess that really has to do with why people choose the front-facing aspect of the business. Is you got to be a people person, and you got to sort of have the privilege of finding out whether you're a people person or not, which I very much happen to discover after working at the kitchen for 3 months. I told myself I definitely want to see what else is out there and maybe talk to some people, work at a hotel. And like I mentioned, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's something I got to find out pretty early on in my career, and that's why I consider it a privilege. I'm doing something I like. I have a clear compass of how I'd like my career to play out, and I very much consider that a privilege.
Right. Well, it's part of, I think, the development of anybody working in the industry. I think that there's that side of passion that needs to be filled when you're doing this as a career. And I think that typically the successful operators, they're driven by passion, right? Seems like you are your role right now is as a guest experience expert, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what your role is, and let's say what substance does it bring during the guest experience, right? To the what are the interactions that make your position unique and get value to your position?
It is a fairly unique role. I would say it's a very important role for hotels. You gotta have frontline professionals who know how to talk to people, who know about the hotel's standards and what it is they're trying to sell. And we're in the business of selling experiences, and that's sort of what a guest experience expert does. You get to meet guests, you're the first point of contact. You get to find out what the preferences are. You're sort of like, I like to see it as it's more of a detective job, more than people realize. Because certainly you got the check-ins and the check-outs and whatnot, but at the same time, you got to take into account that most luxury hotels these days, sure, they care about turning a profit. At the end of the day, you work for a business, and that's how hotels are. They're businesses. They rely on P&Ls and revenue, but mostly it's about creating unique experiences for your clientele and doing well in audits. Most hotel franchises, they have audits that they have to do very well at, and that's also where we come in. We familiarize ourselves with the standards, we research our guests, we know exactly, or at least we have a basic idea of what they're after, and we try to exceed those expectations and have them check in and eventually leave the hotel with more than just memories.
Right.
So it is a job that requires a certain degree of innovation. You gotta be a people person, certainly, and well, for the most part, like I said, it has to do with detective work. You gotta know your product, you gotta know your guests. Those are the pillars to success, I would think. That's why I think I'm doing a good job on the day-to-day, because I focus on these two things.
Absolutely. And you said something very, very, very interesting, which I agree, especially in a hotel environment. We have that time to prep. If you have the communication set up correctly within the ecosystem, we can really extract those nuggets, right, that are going to help us give that extra service or more personalized service. How important is it to have the right channels in place, would you say, so that you can extract information from the guests? And do you have tools that you're able to share that information for others, right, to continue that personalized service line or mindset?
It is of crucial importance. It's also common knowledge these days. Around 70% of hotels out there research their guests, and each property has its own, let's say, tools for data keeping and sharing that data with other departments, because that's also a very important piece of the puzzle. You find out something about a guest, great. Now your job is sharing that detail with the rest of your peers, other departments, maybe even nearby hotels or hotels that belong to the same franchise. We use sophisticated software. A hotel of this magnitude usually uses Salesforce. It's we partner with them. They've offered us a seamless CRM that helps us capture guest information, the preferences, and effectively allows us to shared with other departments and other entities. So that helps everybody reach the sort of success we're trying to achieve with guest experience. It really just has to be communicated to everybody else. Otherwise, you're not going to make that much of a difference. If you're onto a golden nugget, you gotta share it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So from the time that you started in this industry to now, where would you say are the biggest changes you're noticing, right? Especially within your role, where do you think that things have shifted or kind of either gained speed or also maybe we haven't catched up to where we need to? Do you find anything in particular that has innovated or not? Mm-hmm.
Well, most importantly, I would say our clientele has innovated itself dramatically. People have way higher expectations than they would have maybe 5 or 3 years ago. People do their research, they want something unique, something different, and they're also pretty vocal about it. You look at the reviews a hotel will get these days. They're concise. They focus on guest service, but if you're not offering that service and that dedication towards guest experience, they can it's very easily spotted. So they want something unique, and that's also why personalized tourism is on the rise. And how hotels, the way hotels are going about it is just learning more about their guests and using various tools, even AI, to sort of counter that change in guest mentality, because it's a lovely place. People have way higher expectations, and you can sense it. So what hotels are doing is they're having people even on more senior roles spend time with guests, engaging out in the lobby, and that's sort of where AI is also really helping out, because you have all those administrative tasks that, let's say if you're a manager or an executive or whatever, you'd have to focus on those things. But with AI and with the way technology has advanced, we sort of have the help we need to address this change in guest behavior and spend more time getting to know them and exceeding their expectations. So that's definitely what's been going on lately.
Yeah. No, you're right. A huge change. I think that everybody's become a critic, and you give them these platforms for people to express themselves, and people have become better at not only describing and assessing circumstances and situations, right? But it seems like a lot of people have bigger understanding of how restaurants and hotels operate, right? Overall. Competition spheres, how important do you think is, to whatever marketing strategies that you have, how important it is to really convey your story through these, let's say, social media platforms? Are you finding that, people are engaging, especially in your level of hotels? So you work for a big, reputable hotel chain. Do you see that people are engaging and booking more because of social media, or for a person or in the Ritz-Carlton ecosystem, does that matter? What can you say about that?
Very much so, very much so. Although it's a separate department, I know firsthand that sales and marketing play a vital role in securing higher numbers for a hotel of this caliber. That's why general managers these days, they allocate more funds towards their marketing campaign and their hotel's marketing campaign, rather, the sales department. There's a lot of footprint online, and these are things, these are stories, posts that people actually look and are influenced by. So, if anything, you're bound to do much better, way better, if you give the marketing department the attention it needs. And I would say that smart administrations do more than that. They bring influencers over. They try to get the word out through their sales department by having them establish new partnerships with travel agents, maybe in different parts of the country, not necessarily directly affiliated with the city or the region the hotel operates in. That's always been a good way to secure more clientele, more sales, is to think outside of the box and take it a step further and maybe discover a new market that's out there, waiting to be reached out by your hotel. You're way out. We're working a lot with Europe these days, but with the current geopolitical climate, there's always been a shift of sorts. We're getting more people from places like Germany and Italy, and it goes to show that whenever things happen in the state affairs or world order, one needs to be prepared. One needs to have competent people working in sales and marketing that are ready to come up with ideas and new ways of approaching people to ensure the hotel's survivability.
Right.
So these are very, very important people, and they're very, very smart for the most part.
Nikos, let me ask you, in your case, how are you using AI, and how do you see AI affecting the hospitality industry?
I use it quite often. It's streamlined a number of my day-to-day tasks. I use it for emails. I use it to enhance and build guest profiles from scratch. So data keeping for sure, data analysis. I use Perplexity quite a lot. It's a very useful tool. It's backed by ChatGPT, so it's very effective. And I would say most of my peers use it for the same reasons. It helps with generating reports. It helps with training tremendously. I took on this initiative some time ago at my hotel. I helped my department with teaching new hires about the ins and outs of the Forbes travel guide and what a hotel needs to do to secure itself a good score. So I used this LLM to come up with a training plan of sorts, and it's nearly perfect. You have to make tweaks here and there, but if you don't know a thing or two about training or where to start or sort of how to inspire new hires and get them hooked in this new training, it certainly helps. It certainly helps, and like I mentioned before, a lot of people use it for administrative work, just so that they can spend more time out in the field with guests. And one of the many ways big hotel companies are going to start using it, and have actually already started using it, is for room allocation. Hotels, five-star properties, sometimes they have rooms control, whose sole responsibility, or rather one of their most crucial tasks, is making sure rooms are assigned correctly, the right person gets the right upgrade, while taking into availability into account, occupancy, all that stuff. There are already programs being rolled out that not necessarily makes that job obsolete, but rather helps tremendously with the workload. So I sense we're going to be seeing a lot more of that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you talk about some of the most noticeable changes, right, is that now we have integrations right into our check-in system that allow for the guest experience to begin before they even arrive to the hotel, right? So I see some cases where people are already extracting information from the guests before they even check in. I've seen a lot of these self check-in services where they don't need keys anymore, right? So it's kind of more a keyless approach. They skip the line, right? Do you understand that AI can hinder in a way that guests and human interaction, or do you understand that maybe the more we adopt it, then the faster, more, let's say, precise we can be in service? Which you think it's going to happen first?
Well, it's a subject that's certainly up for debate. You certainly have professionals out there that would want to go all in and claim that it can certainly help elevate guest interactions, sort of make things even more personalized by doing a better job at extracting data and whatnot. And you'd have the other side arguing that no, that's not what AI should be used for. The human element should always come in, and implementing such practices will do nothing but sort of take away from the whole ordeal. I personally believe that if it's used properly, it can certainly help us out with our mission, and aid us in connecting with guests on a more human level. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess so too. Overall, you hear this a lot about AI, taking jobs, right? How do you let's say, interpret that in the hospitality field? Do you feel that, in a way, hospitality falls into that statement, or do you think that in a way it's not relevant because of the nature of the business?
Well, I would say that it's not just hospitality, it's every line of work. Like, everybody is bound to be affected by the rise of these LLMs and how sophisticated they've gotten. So we are to at some point come across a noticeable change, but it's every occupation out there, not to an equal degree, but as far as our thing is concerned, it's I would say our best line of defense is sort of getting with the program and at least striving to learn the basics and how to use these new tools as leverage, help ourselves of sorts, learning more about it, and just not necessarily being skeptical, but open-minded, as we should be with change in general, because this is how I view this technology. It's certainly big. It's going to have an effect. It's already started to have an effect. So we might as well just learn how to use the darn thing.
Right. Can you think about a gap, or where in your everyday, or let's say in your in your day-to-day task, do you understand that there's maybe somewhere where AI can be applied to that we're not yet thinking of? Can you envision any ways that we maybe haven't been applying this technology that we can probably harness, great results?
Certainly. No, what I would like to see personally is the use of AI more within onboarding and training. Like I mentioned before, five-star hotels and big hotel brands like Ritz-Carlton heavily rely on doing well with audits. So I don't think we're too far away from, let's say, having some kind of, not necessarily a chatbot, but rather an agent employees can talk to, instead of spending time auditing each other. So you could have a company come up there with this model that's built for that training. Let's say my job, one of the many ways we get audited is the check-in experience. There's certain things you have to meet, certain boxes you have to check. And so practice makes perfect, but it does require human capital and resources, and busy hotels sometimes don't have the luxury of time to actually spend time training on these things. So you could have an agent that's sort of a live chatbot or an avatar of sorts that you talk to, and you pretend as if they're a guest.
Yeah.
So after the entire ordeal, they tell you, oh, you check these boxes, you do so well there, you forgot to help me with my luggage, so that's -5 points for you. It could save us a tremendous amount of time and money, because what many hotels do is they bring experts on board affiliated with these audits, or just people that claim to be knowledgeable, when you can just have an LLM that you can work with. Just treat it as a guest. Talk to a machine and tell you whether you pass the bar or not.
Makes total sense, absolutely. I think that we're not far away from some of those solutions for sure. Nikos, listen, it's been very pleasant, to take to have your take on a lot of these topics. I really appreciate you coming on board and sharing a little bit about your story and how you see technology or innovation impacting the industry. You have anything that maybe you want to share to, let's say, encourage some of those young, personalities jumping into hospitality, right? Maybe a source of wisdom that you can share from your experience around the world,
Certainly. I would say hospitality is a very, very fulfilling line of work. If you like human connection, if you find purpose through human interaction, then look no further. You have a good time, you get to travel a little bit, and if you commit your 100% every time you show up for work, then great things will happen. And you make memories like no other. I mentioned before, I have zero regrets. I love what I do, and I don't think I'll be giving it up anytime soon.
Awesome. Well, Nikos, we wish you incredible success. Most importantly, it was amazing to be able to connect with you. Hopefully, we'll stay in touch and tune, and I love to share some of the innovation that we're building to get your take and see if are aligned with some of the needs that perhaps you're seeing right in your day-to-day work. So again, thank you for joining, and we'll see you again soon.
Well, thanks for having me on, Alexander. Thank you very much. Big fan of your work.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Take care.